Hey guys, I'm Davey Wavey, creator of the gay erotic website Himeros.tv, and today I am joined by sex and intimacy coach Finn Deerhart and my best friend Matthew Thomas and my boyfriend Chad. I think this is our first foursome.
Yeah, I think.
Four dicks, one pod.
Yeah, Chad and Sam were on one time.
Oh, that's right. Your second one. It's your first, Matt. It's exciting.
It is. Mm-hmm.
And today we're talking about Pole Switch, our first video featuring fisting, which they say is the fastest way to a man's heart.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get started.
This video fucked me up. This video fucked me up.
Let's get started. Himeros Live is sponsored by Himeros.tv. Himeros.tv is our erotic website full of cock-throbbing videos that will help you have the best gay sex of your life. And starting today, we're running a special Pride Month special. You'll get 5 months of membership for the cheeky price of $69.95. That's just $13.99 per month. And it's a 60% discount versus our month-to-month price. To take advantage of this limited time offer, go to himeros.tv/pride. If you've been waiting for the best time to join, it is now. Let's celebrate that gay sex and sexuality. Join the revolution at himeros.tv/pride. Himeros.tv. It's like porn, but better. Hey guys!
How are you?
How are we all doing?
Fantastic. How are you two?
Good.
Doing good.
Exhausted.
It's been a trip. Yeah.
Exhausted and excited. Yeah.
How about you, Finn?
I'm excited, and I'm really actually very interested to talk about this video today.
What are you excited about?
Me? I like shock value.
We have that.
I like interruption to like the normal, doldrums. So it's like a little interruption frequency.
Well, we will definitely get to the fisting. Any updates on your lives that we should know about?
I'm planning trap yoga for Lunch on Me next month. We're doing a fundraiser in New York City right around the same weekend of Pride. So that's kind of fun.
Trap yoga?
It's literally yoga with like a hip hop twist. So like they throw in like twerking and just other like hip hop movements into the yoga routines. And we have a professional yoga trap instructor that's going to be doing the sessions in downtown New York. So we're putting the finishing touches on that, getting the tickets together, and we're doing that Saturday, June 29th. So
how much are tickets?
We haven't decided that just yet.
Okay.
That is TBD, but I'll be able to share all of that next week.
Okay. Do you have a website yet or somewhere where people can go if they're interested?
We have CrowdRise, which is where we're going to have people be able to buy tickets, but all the details aren't posted there just yet because we're still talking price, which we won't finalize until tomorrow.
Okay. Well, that's a nice little tease.
Yeah. But more to come. How about that?
How about that?
Timing.
And what's going on in your life?
Well, I've got a lot going on. I've got several events this month that I'm excited about. Also, I'm working with a group now in town called the Love Therapists. So I'm handling overflow of their clients for counseling, and it's really cool. I've also opened up to other couples besides gay men. So I've gotten some lesbian clients and some just different. It's been really cool. And I had some biases going into it, thinking like, oh, like what do I have to offer this person? I only just in my own assumptions, and I've had really awesome sessions with people from different orientations, and it's been fun.
Are any of the clients non-queer, like non-LGBT?
Not yet. They're just queer.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. But it's that's good because you are so queer. There's a really cool. So on the 11th, I'm going to be actually on a panel at Grace Cathedral at a church to talk about secular spirituality for gay men. So there's like a reverend that's really like openly gay and outspoken and kind of liberal, and then a yoga teacher, and then me, and we're all just kind of holding a discussion group about sexuality and gay men and the state of relationships. So,
well, lest we forget, just a gentle reminder that we are still looking for a church to film an orgy scene in.
Okay. I would love, I would love it to be Grace Cathedral, but it will never be. They're Episcopal, and it's like they're kind of. Well, they do a lot of really cool stuff. They had a Beyonce mass. They have like daybreaker dances there. They have a lot of cool stuff, but they're not gonna do porn.
They're not that cool. Okay.
Yeah, I already asked you. All right, it's better. It's better.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, it's just stuff going on that I'm excited about. Some different experiences.
What about you, Chad? Here in Palm Springs with me.
Yeah. We've been filming for the last couple days, and it's been pretty wild and intense and really fun. I'm so excited, and we're going to Toronto soon. We'll see you guys up there. I cannot wait.
Not Matt though; he's not coming.
See Finn.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm super excited to see you and meet you in person.
Yeah.
So we today's Wednesday that we're recording this. Monday and Tuesday we were filming. I think I've mentioned it before. We did we basically took that erotic photo from the 1950s that I bought, and we recreated it and like built this whole story around it. Travis Matthews wrote the screenplay. He was supposed to be the director for it, but last minute he had a family emergency. So Matt Lynn, who's the director that we're working with in Toronto, stepped up and directed this. I think I've just been really lucky in like the previous shoots that I've done that everything has just really gone on schedule and like as planned. But these last projects that we've had, there's just been so much stuff last minute that changes that it's really kind of pushed my limits of like adapting. So it creates a lot of like, and we always pull it off, but it's in the moment, it's like, it's just a lot to deal with. So this video is narrative driven. So there's lots of acting in it, and that's not something that we've really done a lot of in past videos. I think it will definitely be something different to bring to the table. I think from like a message perspective, I'm kind of like not sure that there is one. Like what we're filming in Toronto definitely has a message. It's also narrative driven, about a gay man struggling with loss. But I was kind of thinking like I can usually like put a pretty good spin on something. I love the story, and it's black and white. It's set in the 50s. Like I don't know, is it saying anything?
I think it's more of just like a tale or like a short story about like a gay experience that's like pretty intense in terms of like how they interact, and like the conversation was really like heavy and flowing, and like there's like soft instances of like love and connection, but like not through like the typical way that you see it in like real life.
There's also like both of the guys are like, it's in the 50s, they're in the closet. Like it's definitely, there's a big closeted element to it. Like, I don't know. We'll figure out some sort of spin for it. But here's what's so sad. Okay, here's what's so sad.
What?
So I bought all the props for this. Everything's from the 1950s. Like we literally had to recreate the picture, and anything that they touched or used, from like the wristwatch that they look at to the underwear to the shoes that they're wearing, everything has to be 1950s. Everything in the background, like they open a magazine, it has to be from the 1950s. I bought so many fucking props for this video. And of those props, the one that I was the most excited about is that they used Vaseline to fuck each other, not lube, because it's 1950s. And a girl got to do what a girl got to do. And I've definitely been that girl. Oh, have you honestly never used Vaseline to fuck?
I wouldn't even jerk off with Vaseline. I'd rather just go to bed.
Thank you.
No, it's not happening. Not happening.
It reminds me of like my grandmother's medicine cabinet. But I have to say, I actually have gotten fucked with BioSilk before. I was dating a hairstylist.
What?
I was dating a hairstylist. BioSilk is that stuff that women put in their hair that makes it like really like silky, and they like blow dry it. And they're like,
he's like, this will slap it right in.
It sounds like it would burn.
Well, it didn't, but it smelled like hair products. So
we're not endorsing this, by the way.
Tell them the punchline.
My punchline? Oh yeah, so it's coming. Yeah, so hang on. But wait, you've never used Vaseline to fuck?
Hell no.
No,
Girl.
I have to masturbate when I was younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you never used it?
No.
I'm not saying that it's a good option. I'm just saying that when you're like,
How does that feel good? Like,
girl, it doesn't
feels
feel good.
terrible.
No, it's just about getting the damn dick
Ugh.
inside you. It's not like,
Maybe it's like a
No.
generational thing too. Like,
okay, Matt and
I mean,
I are in the same generation.
yeah, but in the
Mm-mm.
50s, it would have been like, how many, options do you have versus like today? Most people don't think, oh, let me run down to CVS and grab
But
some
They
Vaseline.
I'm
no,
not
they
gonna
made
win this
oil. Like there were so many things you could have
Oil?
used.
Like
Yeah,
car oil?
oil. No, not car oil, just like regular, like, I don't know, vitamin E, aloe oil. They made that back then, didn't they?
I don't know.
Cocoa butter's been around for a long time. There should have been something. Shit. I mean, I don't like spit, but I'd even use spit first.
Anyway, I found this fucking bottle of Vaseline from the 1950s with 1950s Vaseline in it.
Oh.
So this thing is 70 years old. I don't know who keeps something for that long, especially like the first 10 years. Like I can understand once it's an antique, like, oh, I'm gonna hang on to this. But like, who's keeping 10-year-old Vaseline in their cupboard like in the 60s? Somehow this survived, and I bought it on like eBay or something, and I was so excited. And I get it. And yesterday I'm looking at it. I'm like, I really do need to empty the Vaseline out because like they really did fuck with Vaseline, but we're not gonna make them use 70-year-old Vaseline
Or petroleum in their ass.
Yeah. So I'm scooping it out in the bathroom, and it's all goopy and slimy, and I fucking drop it, and it shatters.
It's glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, yeah, glass everywhere, but that's not even what my concern was. And all I could think was this little bottle of Vaseline. If someone told it, like, just make it 70 years and you're gonna have your big moment, you're gonna be on camera, you're gonna be a star. And that little bottle was so excited. And then 5 fucking minutes before we start filming that scene, some dumbass producer lets it slip through his fucking fingers on the bathroom floor, and it shatters into a million pieces. Just like my dreams. So the video's ruined.
Yeah, we scratched it.
No, the video's not.
So what did you end up going with after that?
Well, they still used Vaseline because I had like current Vaseline. They just don't show the container. You just see like the Vaseline on the fingers, like so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Wesley was a great sport. He was like, he's like, just fucking lube, cover my ass in it and stick it in.
Yeah,
he ain't give a shit.
Yeah, he's like, I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, he's like, you got a check? He's like, I got a hole. So
That's
how we work. Himeros.tv.
right.
You got a hole, I got a check. So, other update, I filmed a YouTube video. It's now up on my main channel with Blake Mitchell. And it's him and I watching some of the Himeros.tv videos featuring older gay guys. And it's very sensationally titled "Porn Star Reacts to Old Gays Having Sex," because you think it's going to be this like really mean and catty video of us like, like ripping these videos apart. And it's actually this really awesome conversation about older guys in porn, or the lack thereof of older guys in porn and what messages are in that. So check that out on my main YouTube channel. All right, some hot topics to dive into. I only found out about this yesterday, but you guys probably already knew about this. Did you know about the Delta Airlines video that Austin Wolf filmed? Is this news to you?
This is news
I
to me.
heard about it a while back, but I don't know a whole lot of details other than like there's a video.
Yeah, well, they were talking about it on set because we were talking about OnlyFans, and Austin Wolf is one of the like most successful OnlyFans models, and he has a very like intense film schedule, like 4 videos a week. And so this happened in October. I didn't know about it, otherwise we would have discussed it when it happened. But so apparently he was on some flight, a Delta flight, and he filmed himself having sex in the plane, like in the lavatory with an off-duty but in uniform flight attendant. So, which you saw when it happened, right? You even know?
It was on the news.
Like the news?
Like the news. Yeah.
Shut your face.
Yeah, because the flight attendant got like a whole bunch of repercussions from it. And yeah, I just remember it like flying around on campus.
That's funny. Yeah. So like on one hand, I'm also like, if you're a flight attendant, I don't have an issue. I don't think it's a moral, like, I don't have a moral issue with people filming porn, like,
No.
but I could see if he was on duty, it would be like, because he's supposed to be tending to the public that's in the plane or whatever. But if you're off duty, so just on that alone, like, I don't know.
But he was doing it in his work uniform.
Yeah.
So that's what the issue was.
Like name tag and all. Like,
yeah. So you're representing the brand that you work for, and you're portraying them that way, and that's what their issue is.
So what's the issue though? Like Delta flight attendants don't have sex?
That they have an issue with being being synonymous with porn. That's not how they as a brand want to be seen. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I could see why he would get in trouble. It's no different than that woman who was photographed fingering Donald Trump as his motorcade went by, and she was that contractor. Do you remember that? No,
Girl,
giving him the finger, not fingering him.
I'm like, I don't think you're using the right word here.
Oh, sorry. Listen. This video fucked me up that we're going to talk about later. You don't understand. Sorry. But it's kind of the same thing.
She wasn't even in uniform though, right?
No, but she was like I don't know. I get it. I don't see what the big deal is either, but I get it.
What do you think, Finn?
Wasn't it because it was in the bathroom? So isn't it because it was against the law, not because it was sex? Which underneath that is like, well, why is that against the law? There's questions about that, but isn't that the reason they would stand behind that decision? Like, because it's illegal. Just like if you were like smoking pot in the bathroom.
In a toilet on a plane?
Yeah, isn't it illegal?
Oh my God. Is that a law?
I think so. And on top of that, like
any kind of public place.
Like that's their job, is to make sure that like everyone's like behaving and following the rules of the airplane. And if the flight attendants are breaking the rules, I could totally see.
Like we can't pass universal health care, but we can pass a law that's illegal to have sex in a plane bathroom.
Exactly. I know it shows priorities, and that's a different discussion to me. But I think, like, yeah, you couldn't like smoke pot on the plane. I mean, so it's more about that. And I don't know, if he didn't have his uniform on, maybe there wouldn't be a big deal about it, but everyone's trying to cover their ass.
Yeah. I mean, to me at face value, it sounds really hot, and I was like curious to see the video, but there's also another element of it, which was that apparently the flight attendant didn't know he was being filmed. And that's where I started to have like a big issue with it.
More shall be revealed.
Yeah. The plot twist. The flight attendant didn't know, apparently. And I believe him because I think he would have taken off his like lanyard, which has his full name on it, right? Like if he knew he was being filmed.
So what was the camera just his phone?
Yeah. I assume so. I assume so. And like maybe he was just kind of holding it like in his hand while he was getting his dick sucked.
Oh, because that's perfectly normal. Someone just holds their phone up in my face. By the way, here's my lanyard. I'm sucking your dick. Oh no, you're not recording me.
No, but like if you're like there's not a lot of countertop space like in a bathroom, and if he's just holding it casually in his hand or like resting it on the sink, like he could have kind of discreetly been doing it. And then the flight attendant was probably nervous. Like there's a lot of like I don't know. I believe the flight attendant because I think he would have taken off his lanyard if he knew that this was going on. And like when we film scenes for Himeros.tv, not only obviously did the models know that we're filming them, but we have to get 2 forms of ID. We need to do all this paperwork. Like it's this whole process. And I think that's something that's probably going to be increasingly an issue with OnlyFans. I think it's awesome that that porn stars are creating this content directly themselves and like cutting out studios. And I think there's some really brilliant strategies in it. But like, if you're popular on OnlyFans, you really need to make sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's. Because and like really do everything by the book. Because like I get doing something like this can generate publicity and get you new members. Like we're talking about it right now, but it's also really fucked up and wrong to upload content without someone's permission. And in some places it's illegal and can fall under the category of revenge porn. So.
But could you really see this porn star? I mean, I guess anything's possible. Do you really think this popular porn star didn't have enough sense to get his permission? knowing that he's seen the video and this guy's name or this guy's lanyard is like plastered. Like,
I don't know.
guess-
But you'd have to take pictures of 2 forms of ID and have him sign a model release form that's like 4 pages long on an airplane, if that's what he did.
Yeah.
So maybe he travels with those. I don't know.
Releases. I've always wondered how people get away with it, period. Because I've heard people do stuff like this, but every time I like get up to pee or something, there's always like a line of people, and maybe it's in the middle of the night. Is that what happened? Because I just I've never known how people get in and out of those little things without people all seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he didn't give a fuck if they saw or not.
Yeah.
Have you ever had sex on a plane?
I have not. No.
We have a flight tomorrow.
Well, maybe y'all can see if it works out.
We'll find out. We'll find out if it's in fact illegal as we cross international borders.
Right.
In other news, there was a recent Xtube fetish survey sent to us by Finn Deerhart. Okay, so this is kind of just fun because these are the top. I'm going to do top 11 fetishes. All right, do you want to read these? Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So number 1 is partialism. I'm not clear that I understand fully what that means, but they said it's like a part of the body, like you fetishize backs or feet or something.
Yeah, like where it's like that's your turn on, so it's like really zeroed in on that being the focus.
Okay, role play. So partialism was like 10%, role play 8%, narrativephilia or dirty talk 7.5%, followed by uniforms, bondage, submission, exhibitionism, voyeurism, masculinia, armpits, masculine. Say that.
How do you say this word?
Masculingia? I don't know. Macrophilia, someone being bigger than you. That's number 10. And then 11, Finn, I included this just for you. Olfactophilia, which is smells and odors.
I love how you turn that into like my thing or something. It's like, I mean, kind of. It's not like this huge deal. It's not like this huge deal for me.
Is that how you're trying to justify it? By 2.52%. So I don't know if I'd consider that popular, but
Niche. Niche.
it's definitely something. Yeah, it's definitely something. Stop it. This one's putting his armpit up.
I love it.
Are they stinky right now?
To your point, I have, since I'm leaving my boyfriend for like a week, I've been like working out in this pair of underwear a few times for him so that they're like super sweaty. I wanted to see Davey's face.
I can't. I love that. I can't even see Matt's face. He's already tapped out from the video that we're about.
And they don't. It's like I take showers a lot, so I don't. It doesn't, like I've told you before. It's not like just like tons of bacteria smelling. It's just like sweaty and it smells like balls and it smells good. I think I saw a load. I think I like wiped a load up with it too at one point. So they're Matt's
Good parting gift, I gotta say.
I gotta leave something behind, you know.
Like that, yeah.
Do you hear him? He goes, "Why don't you do cute things like that?" You don't want a pair of my sweaty fucking gym shorts.
Yeah, you do.
You don't know what I want.
I know. He looks like he wants it.
Oh,
Give him what he asked for.
I'll seal it in in a plastic bag too.
Like a
so
Tupperware.
just marinate, fucking cooks in it. Yeah. So what was interesting, there's this article attached to the survey. Deborah Fields, a kink specialist and psychotherapist, told the Gay Star News, there are studies that say that people who are kinky are more likely to be okay with themselves. People who are kinky tend to have better mental health than people who are not. So there you go, Finn. I think what kinky people do is talk more. I agree with that. That's like my experience.
Too. Yeah.
And we have to talk about our shit more than someone that doesn't. And I think everyone's kinky, and just some people just don't talk about their shit. And so they're secretly kinky behind closed doors, but not outwardly so, or they're repressed kinkies.
Right.
What are people who are kinky called? Kinksters.
Kinksters.
So you're negotiating consent. That community, we discuss things and be open about mental health up front. So girl, let your freak flag fly.
Yeah. And, like, it's like, what's the measure of kink? It's always indexed to what's like considered normal, which all this is constructed anyway. So, I mean, I would say that like having a good Christian wedding is kind of kinky, like, right? Having like, having a Christian big family and it's kind of kinky to me.
Wait, how is that kinky? Like if we did it, could it be like ironic?
Well, I just think it's like, that particular part of the culture is like what's defining what's kinky. So it's a reference point, but it's all contrived, to some degree.
And really, like if you take a step back, I mean, we're going to talk about this in a second. Literally next article, which is about sides, people who don't have anal sex, like anal sex is kinky. It just, we see so much of it through porn that it's normalized it. Yeah. But like that's a very specific sex act involving like a very particular part of your body, and like that shit's kinky. It's great. Fucking love it.
I don't know. I feel like it's normal. It's so normal.
Yeah. Eating ass is super kinky.
No.
I know. I'm just like, is it? I mean,
kinky for straight people. I think like that was like right, like in the last year, that's blown up like so much in all sort of like social accounts that I've seen. But for us, it's more like a normalized experience.
It's kinky for like Westerners, because Westerners have like really, in general, I'm generalizing, I'll preface it like negative attitudes about the body and body functions. It's like, ew, the ass, so then it becomes kinky, but that's not how it's been forever. I mean, there are like religious groups in times past that get fucked in the ass because it's part of their like opening of their, root chakra. So I don't.
But eating someone's ass, also known as the devil's kiss, as we're filming an upcoming video in Sweden, is kinky. When I showed my straight cousin the trailer for Himeros TV, anytime there was anything about a butt being eaten or touched, she would like retch. She was like, "Oh!"
That is a devil I will make out with any day of the week.
I love it.
Like, that is literally the kinkiest place on a body for you to put your lips, is the place where shit comes out of. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. I fucking love it. I'm just saying it's kinky.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think about my female straight friends, and they will tell me that they've had relationships with men that absolutely they'll have sex, but guys will not go down on them. And I feel like that might be something common in straight relationships where oral is not mutually given. I had a point to that. I kind of lost it just now.
Yeah, I'm not catching it, but
because we were talking about ass and eating ass. I feel like eating ass is like so common, just as much as I guess I would think that like, oh, guys going down on girls would be just as common. Like that would be the thing. Like they fuck it, they love it, they want it, but it's not. So maybe you do have a point, Dave. Maybe it is more kinky than what I realized. I feel like it's like a normal part of like gay intimacy, ass eating.
It is, but it's kinky. Like the difference between eating a vagina, like sure you pee out of it, but your pee is sterile. Like I say eating a pussy that's bleeding is kinky. It's like higher on the kinky spectrum. This is clearly an area we all know lots about. But I think eating an ass is kinky because of what comes out of it, and it's like shit, which like you can get pink eye, like E. coli, like
girl. But what comes out of a vagina? Blood, piss, and a baby.
No, girl. Like, I just said like this is sterile. This is sterile. If you eat it when it's bleeding, it is kinky. If you eat it when a baby's coming out, also kinky.
Babies are super kinky.
What did you say?
Babies are really kinky. Yeah. I want to squeeze this human out of my pussy.
Oh my god, I can't. So I actually once. This is so disgusting. Ew. If you have a light stomach, fast forward like a minute in this podcast. I hooked up with this guy in Rhode Island, and I was like eating his ass, like sticking my fingers in it and eating it. Like I was like digging in it like it was like a sandbox. And afterwards, he said to me, he's like, "Wow," he's like, "I'm just so surprised that it was so clean because I didn't douche before I came over." And I was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Sure enough, what did I get? Fucking pink eye in both of my eyes from eating his dirty fucking asshole. Got shit in my eyes.
Well, you know, whenever you're with a couple, like if you're in a couple, two gay guys, your internal like flora starts to match each other's because you're always like having each other's bacteria that you kind of like colonize in the same way.
What?
Which is like it's like weird, but it's kind of endearing.
Like, I don't even know what to say. Is there science behind this? Like, is this a thing? Are there articles?
Yeah.
So,
We'll have to look it up. I don't
are
have it
you
off the top.
implying that you eat so much of your partner's shit that you become immune to it?
I'm gonna say, yeah, you start to colonize with like more of their flora.
Yeah, your bacteria like integrates into both of you guys.
Don't colonize.
I don't want to colonize anybody's shit.
Yeah, nothing good comes from that.
Colonization.
No.
I think it's like community. Strength in numbers.
This is trying me, this podcast today. All right, so Finn also sent an interesting article about sides. There are tops, bottoms, and then sides, aka gay men that don't want to have anal sex. So what's funny about this is just yesterday I did an interview with Huffington Post, which is the same website that this article was on, where they were like interviewing me about like bottoms versus tops. And I was feeling really, I know we say like a top, a bottom. I say that all the time, like, oh, he's a top, he's a bottom. But it is interesting that we choose to like label someone's like identity based on this like preferred sexual position. And I was feeling cunty when they asked the question. And I don't know if the person was like non-LGBT. I kind of got the impression they weren't because the questions were really like elementary. And the first question was like, how did you decide that you were a top or a bottom? And so it was written. It was written. It was a written question. So my response was, this is me being a cunt. Okay. I always cringe at the label of a top or a bottom. I'm a human. Labeling our identity on the basis of a sexual position feels limiting, and yet I'm envious of people who see the world in such black and white contrasts. How easy and yet boring it must be to live in a world that's as simple as top and bottom.
Yeah.
That's right. So how do you all feel about sides?
About sides?
Or whatever you were going to say. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, I feel supportive of anyone, really just sticking to what they feel is true for them. But I think I find it to be a little sad, I guess, that it's all you're a top or you're a bottom, because it's like what we do behaviorally isn't always exactly who we are on the inside erotically. A lot of people really struggle with like just being who they are erotically because it's so intimate and it can be, really kinky. There's just a lot in there. And so maybe they select a few things that they do normally because it feels safer and it feels, like gets them some sort of like social credit or whatever, but it's not necessarily what you're fantasizing about and what really is getting you off on the inside. And some of those things people never tell anyone ever, ever, ever. Which
is going to be a good segue for our video in a moment. But
yeah. Colonize.
What do you think, Matt?
I mean, I think that I always tend to identify, oh, well, is that a bottom? Is that a top? But, I think the more time or just as I've gotten older, I realize that even myself, there are certain things that I used to say I wouldn't ever do sexually that may self-identify me more as a top than as a bottom. And in certain relationships, I find that I'm doing the things I said I wouldn't do. And it's because of the person that I happen to be with, so as much as I think we'd like to say, oh, we are this or we are not that, I think we end up meeting people that challenge that and bring other things out of us. So we're not necessarily just top, just bottom. It may be a preference that we have, but I'd like to think that more often than not, we'll meet someone along the way that will have us step outside of our comfort zone a little bit.
To maybe hold on to those labels like a little bit more loosely.
Yeah.
Like top and bottom. And, yeah. What do you think?
What do I think? I totally agree 100% with what you said, Matt. I think like I've also been guilty of like kind of identifying in like black and white labels of like top or bottom, or like if I was ever on Grindr, that would be like one of the questions that would pop up like relatively relatively fast in the conversation, depending on what I was looking for. But in terms of like with a relationship, I definitely identified more as a top, like traditionally. And then I think as I kind of started this relationship with Dave and like explored sexuality and like all that it encompasses, I like kind of like flipped over a couple times, literally and figuratively. And yeah, like I think a lot of times it was like I thought I was holding on to like my masculinity if I like remained true to being a top, or like by bottoming, I was like letting go of like being a man. And I think like it's the exact opposite. It's like when you bottom, I feel like more manly in it. But
And what does manly even mean? Anyway?
Yeah,
Do you want to feel more manly?
Yeah, that's its whole.
And I'm so happy to hear you saying this. I feel grateful to hear you saying this.
Yeah.
It's about like letting go of the that fear, and it's real.
Yeah, totally.
That article about tops, bottoms, and sides referenced a study where they tried to determine if gay men could tell if someone was a top or bottom just by their physical appearance. And it was saying that basically like what that became was gay men looking for stereotypical like heteronormative cues. Like if this person looked feminine, then they judge them to be a bottom. And so vice versa. If they were masculine, they judge them to be a top based on like what they're wearing, how they carry themselves, the shape of their body, their face. And like you just realize very quickly that we're looking so much at our sex through the lens of like non-LGBT society, like straight society, and like that it's created a filter that we're still operating under, which can be limiting, especially if you're not truly connecting with what you actually want.
Yeah, especially if it's to like circumvent feeling your vulnerability about being gay, and so all you do is top, or or if you just default to bottoming because you feel bad about yourself and don't feel like you deserve to get what some of these guys that are like kind of quote unquote alpha men get to have. And I mean, I know some of these alpha men, I think that they're just so Nelly, but they come off like they're like posturing in a way as tops, but I kind of think of them as bottoms, just kind of the way they act and the way they show up in the world. So yeah, it's complex.
This is a really good segue for today's video, which is it is called bullshit. Matt, take a deep breath. Pierce Paris and Hunter Graham. You guys can watch a free preview at Himeros.tv. So in this,
can I say something?
What?
The free preview is not it. They need to buy the membership. They need to see what we see.
Yeah, because it's not in the free preview.
Not the juice.
Not the juice. Okay, so in this video, Pierce and Hunter play a sex game called Pole Switch. And each guy basically gets 5 minutes. You set a timer to ask for whatever you want, and then you switch for the next 5 minutes. So, Finn, my question for you is, can you explain a little bit like what the intention is in this game, like what this game what it's about for people? Because you wrote the concept.
Yeah, totally. So it's a way to set some time parameters to practice, asking for what you want, which is a notoriously ubiquitous struggle for a lot of people, including myself. Sometimes I'll just be like doing something and kind of afraid to ask for what I want, and I have to calm myself on it. So you set this timer and then you just keep asking for what you want. And something about having the time parameters and knowing it's your time and that's already agreed upon gives you this like feeling of safety to ask for something that you may not do if you're just kind of in the throes of passion with somebody. And I've benefited from that game myself, and I've have clients that have benefited from that. So that's the point, and it's a fun way to mix it up and to practice asking.
So aside from the fisting,
right, which I didn't write that part.
Right, and we'll get to that. What did you guys think about this video, kind of in general?
Yeah, I thought it was really cute and a fun way to like integrate, like how you said, things that you might not necessarily want to ask for, like might be too afraid to, in like a fun, lighthearted, and like safe space. Like you have 5 minutes, and I think that like time constraints are also really important. And you're tending to both sides of both parties and like the needs that they have.
Right.
Was there a reason you picked 5 minutes, Finn?
I was just thinking in terms of the format for the video, like I honestly, like, I kind of think it'd be cool to do like 20 minutes a piece or something, but you can do it for really short. Even you can do it even non-sexually, it's like you got, rub my head, rub my feet, all that stuff.
Yeah. So Matt, what do you think?
I think all in all, it was a good video. I think the like big small dynamic for like as dramatic as it was, in a way I thought was kind of hot, and it was something that I don't think that I even realized that I was into.
What's the big small dynamic? What do you mean?
Mike, just the top was like ginormous. As the video, just as it traditionally starts, you have this ginormous man and then this smaller guy, and it's like when he was like picking him up and fucking him, like seeing the look on the guy's face that was fucking the other guy, like seeing how into it he was and how much he was enjoying it, and just looking at like just the sheer difference in size and what was happening. It was kind of like, oh wow, okay.
There's a slow motion shot of Hunter being stuck in the pool. It's one of my favorite shots. Where he's in like the floaty toy, and Pierce is fucking him with Pierce's penis is huge.
It's pretty huge.
It's huge, and this like little like 20-year-old twink is just like being destroyed, but loves it. And then the fisting.
It's surprising, actually. To me, it is surprising to see Hunter do that, to take it,
because it's like giving birth.
Yeah, like I was trying to think of like how that go. Does that go into his small intestine? Like how he's not looking like he's breathing deeply or having stress here.
Oh my god!
Like, where did it go?
It's baffling to me.
Yeah, well, and I think when you watch the first 5 minutes, which is Hunter asking for what he wants to be dominated by Pierce, and so that's a story that is expected for us, that we're used to seeing. Like the little guy is taking it from the big guy, and he's getting the dick and he's gagging, and it's very much like, okay, and it's very kind of heteronormative. And then the pole switch. And so Pierce's turn. Matt, what do you have to say about that?
No, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this took me back. I think you and I have talked about this. There is one time many years ago where I was hooking up with this guy, and he was like asking me to finger him. So I put one finger in. He's like, put two fingers in. He's like, try one more. I'm like, okay, where is this going? He's like, just try to put a fourth in. I'm like, all right. He's like, why don't you just try it all? So I'm like, I'm doing it. And before I know it, I'm like, whoa, like this is just too much for me. And I just had to stop. So it was taking me back to this place, but I mean, then he put his elbow on the ground, and he just it was just a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot.
So in the video, Pierce asks Hunter to put like one finger in and two fingers in. It's basically that same process. And he says something, I don't know if it's in the actual video, but he said something to Hunter. He's like, wow, he's like, your fingers are so small. Your hands are so small. And then he wanted to be fisted, and Hunter had never done it. And yeah, there is this moment when Hunter gets his whole hand in where Pierce just like puts Hunter's elbow onto the side of the pool and just starts like squatting onto it. And Hunter's arm just disappears.
Hunter was fearless.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, this is something I love about the content, because you shoot stuff that, you know, in a way where it's still like very artistic. We don't see this. I don't know, at least not the way that it showed, and I appreciate that.
We also didn't know that it was going to lead to fisting, because we wanted the guys to authentically ask for what they wanted, and so it was very open ended the way Finn wrote it, and this was what Pierce wanted, and Finn and I were 15 feet away on set, and I don't think we knew it was going to happen until like we're actually shooting it, and when it did, I used Finn as a human shield, because I like jumped behind, because it was just it's a lot to watch. Imagine watching it in real life, right? Like it's really intense. And I've never physically witnessed someone like getting fisted before. But apparently you have, Matt, because you did it. So have you ever seen anyone get fisted in real life?
No, hasn't been in my realm of experiences.
Finn, you must have seen it.
No, not in person.
Oh, this was the only time.
Yeah.
Have you?
No, this was it.
Yeah.
This is the only time I've ever seen it. Yeah. Other because when it's me who's being fisted, I can't see it technically. So I'm just kidding. So there's that. Any more thoughts about the video, about the fisting?
I just thought they were being really vulnerable. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was an intimate experience for them because, like you had said, they had not had this planned. It wasn't prior experience between them both. It was Hunter's first time to do that ever, and he was just like fearless and doing it. And I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's nice. All right, if you guys want to see the video, you can check it out on himeros.tv. All right, so we're going to answer some questions from y'all, and let's start with question number 3, which is not really a question at all. Do you want to read this? I feel like I talk too much.
All right. Question number 3 says, just writing this to basically say thank you and share my experiences with you guys. I've been following you and your work ever since around 2015, and I started questioning my sexuality secretly while I was working at a very conservative church in South Carolina. I've since left that job and came out in 2016 and have been living as a very happy, openly gay man. Snaps to that. Sadly, I can't really afford to be a member of Himeros yet, LOL, but I listen to the podcast religiously and have been so encouraged by the open and honest dialogue you guys have. There's a lot of stigmas and barriers that I had coming up in conservative religious background that I've been able to realize and work through by hearing you guys in your conversations. I also used to think that I was attracted to a very specific type of guy, but thankfully I found that I'm attracted to a much wider gamut of guys than I ever thought. And I don't think I would have been open to these experiences had I not encountered Himeros and the type of diversity talked about on the podcast. Exposure is really powerful. I'm now 28 and always have been into guys my age or younger, or so I thought. But I recently met a guy from Grindr who is 43, and we have had the absolute best sex of my entire life. Like that amazing 4-hour-long, multiple blowjob, ass-eating, cuddling, flip-fuck over and over and over again kind of sex. Anyways, just been very thankful that I've been able to experience such amazing intimacy and connections recently, and I'm very thankful for you and the guys in the podcast. Keep it up.
Aww.
Love that.
Isn't that nice?
So nice. Love that.
Nice.
Not really a question, but a great comment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's that look on your face, Matt?
What? I just appreciate the comment. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that you want to do for this person?
Oh, is that? Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. Because he doesn't listen to. I didn't know. We didn't talk about this beforehand like this. I just thought you were going to do it. So I don't know this person's name. I know. Sorry. I don't know this person's name. However, because he doesn't listen to Himeros and he enjoys the content and it's added value to his life, I would like to pay for his membership for the rest of the year.
Aww.
That's so sweet.
So enjoy Himeros.
Yeah, so I'll follow up with him through email, and you can. I'll send him his username and password.
Done.
That's very sweet of you, Matt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a few things that I want to, Matt.
Look at Daddy alert.
I have a little list.
All right, question number 1. This is a very specific one. All right, take it away.
Testing. Hi, Davey and crew. I want to first say how much I appreciate your sex positive outlook, talking about the stigmas around sex and certain sexual acts, helping to normalize them and minimize the shame we feel about them. As a 40-something bear with a vivid imagination but a quiet sex life, I feel good about the long list of things I want to try and do. A few shows back, Finn said something along the lines of, it takes 60 days to reset your time. Maybe this was in reply to your goal of going porn-free for masturbation. Anyhow, I'm in search of the elusive prostate orgasm. I've tried chastity, e-stim, toys of all kind, but I'm not there yet. Does Finn have any more tips, or have I just not tried long enough? Do I need 2 months of intense prostate simulation? Oh, what a chore. Thank you.
Finn?
Take that away.
So first of all, I remember that question when it came up last time, and I said 2 months, but I made a mistake. It's actually 4 months.
Oh my God. I have to go 2 fucking more. When were you going to tell me this?
Well, it's not like this hard set in stone thing. That's like an average. You really can do it quicker than that, but it's like 2 different things. What this person's asking, like, resetting your arousal template is different than like growing an attachment to a new activity that can be like really quickly done, that can be slow. It just kind of depends on what your connection emotionally to this thing is. Like if it's like something that you're eroticizing in your mind and you're like, you really connect to it emotionally, then that would be a lot more quick, I think, than if you're just like wanting to learn to do something new and try it out. You're going to have some experiences where you have a great experience. Like that's what really turns us on to something, is when we like have an experience that like opens us up. So I would say doing it with another person, perhaps, so it can be something that you're doing in connection versus just by yourself.
So this is not necessarily like a prostate orgasm doesn't necessarily fall into the category of like resetting your
right.
What's the term?
Arousal template. And the sex researcher is named Alexandria Kate Hawkes, and that's what she's had published material about that. But that's different, because that's like, when you're watching something and you're generating turn on in your mind, you're firing a certain network of nerves in your brain to then like get aroused. That's something that you've grooved in, and then that can reset. But what this person's asking is, how can I become like attached to like a new activity? So I think that doing it with another person where it becomes like a fun, sexy thing could really maybe speed that up, versus like doing it by yourself when you're just kind of like, for me, I would feel less erotic about doing it myself than if I did it with like someone that I trusted and felt like it was a really sexy experience, where then I could think about, that person and that experience, and it'd be like a fantasy too,
Also, wouldn't it be possible that like not everyone's going to be able to have prostate like orgasms, that like it's going to be like everybody's kind of different, and like maybe that's just not something he's wired for.
Yeah, that's true too. But I do think that stuff's more malleable than we realize a lot of times too, though. But but to that point, yeah, everybody's body is different. So someone might be able to learn really quickly, and someone it might take a while, but you can, learn how to eroticize different things.
All right, question number 2 or 3, I guess in this order, is do you want to read it? It's a short one.
Sure. I was struck by your conversation about the former porn star who's now anti-gay. You mentioned that porn can be empowering, but didn't go into any detail about it. I'm curious to know the positive ways that porn has impacted each of you.
So also, I don't know who's anti-gay, but who's anti-gay porn. Who's so just to clarify that. But it's funny because we circulate these questions beforehand. Matt, what did you say when we set this question?
I said I really didn't have an answer. Like for me, I mean, I see like porn in a sense, okay, it gets you off, you learn a little about what you like, but then when you try to apply that to being with someone else, it's one of the worst ways that you could really introduce yourself to understand connection and sex. So I don't know how much good, in a sense, there really is to say when it comes to just that connection. I don't know.
In other words, like people using gay porn as like as sex education, and
sex education. Sorry, yes, that's a better way to put it.
I have a different feeling about that. Like I think, like I do agree with what you're saying, Matthew. But for me personally, like I was very repressed, and porn at one time in my life in particular really was a way for me to access permission to feel what my body truly felt anyway, even when I couldn't really be honest with myself about that. And I think a lot of people also, and I know a lot of people also utilize it as a way to get in contact with and like understand more about their fantasy life. And so it's almost like like maybe they don't know that they feel a certain way until they stumble on it, and then it makes them curious about a real experience in that way with somebody. And again, I think that's a little different than like applying it as like a sex educational tool, which it's totally not. But again, if people know it's fantasy, so I think it can be really good for that to help you just open up if you're not, if you're not in the practice of exploring your fantasies. Go ahead.
But to be fair, do people really always know that it's just fantasy? Like, really?
I don't think they do.
I don't think
they
there's
do.
context to that.
Well, they don't, and that though I think that's testimony to our massive ignorance about sex, and it's not our fault, but we don't know until we do that it's not real. I used to think it was totally real when I was younger, and I expected that, and I know I've had to work through a lot of shit in my own self because of those assumptions and because of my own ignorance.
We talked about this last week. That's like the trick that porn plays. You go to a movie and you watch Avengers, it's fake. You watch porn, I think the trick that it plays is most people that are watching it don't realize that it's fake. The erections are fake. The cum faces are fake. It's all fucking fake.
Right.
The loads are often fake. And like we talk a lot about that on this podcast. And that's part of the reason why I created Himeros TV, is to create something that's real and that's authentic. And like Matt, you said you haven't learned a lot in porn, but you've certainly, like the stuff that we talk about each week, I feel like has contributed to a conversation that we've been having. That's kind of put all of us on something of a personal journey. If you want to lump the stuff that we do into that same category.
I don't, though. I don't look at what you do as porn.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. And and I'll tell you why.
It's like porn,
but better. Right? No, but I don't, because I've never like jerked off to a single thing that is on Himeros. Like, I don't look at it like that. Mm-hmm. That's not, so it doesn't, I don't see it as the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's fair, I think, to put it in a different kind. What did you learn about yourself in porn? Have you?
Yeah, I think porn like played an integral role of like me coming out, was the knowing that I wasn't alone. I think growing up in like a super small white conservative town, especially like with my family, it's kind of like isolated. The only experiences I had of like knowing gay people at my school, they were all kind of like the outcasted, like gothic crew. And I was like, well, that's not me. Like, if anything, I shine bright. Like, I'm not dulled out, but I think porn was
no shade to goth kids.
No shade. No, love everyone in that sense. But I think I just didn't feel like I like connected with them, and that was like my only sort of like scope or experience of like any sort of like gay community. So I think like porn was like a way to like normalize it and make it like, oh, like this is me, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, I also use porn as a way to know that like I wasn't alone, and it, I think, helped me figure out what turns me on, and encouraged me maybe to try like certain fetishes or things that I would see. And also, as someone that grew up with a lot of shame around like nudity and sex, for me, it's very empowering to see people like in porn who are so free with like their bodies and their sex. And I feel this on pretty much every porn shoot that we do. Like, yesterday we're filming and these boys are just walking around the house naked with their, with their dicks out, with their holes out, and they don't give a fuck. And like, that's not something that I can easily do. So yeah.
It's funny to hear you all kind of say this, a little bit of the same thing of like seeing someone who's not like you, or being able to relate, because I would say that growing up watching porn, I never had that. Like the porn that I'm seeing back when we had dial-up AOL, it's just white guys. Like that's all that I would see. Like, I don't think, and Dave, you and I have talked about this, like there have been most of my life, I haven't felt that same connection to the gay community, and the things that I have always been able just to go and see and find, they don't represent me. I think that now there's more of that and it's much more easy to find, but I would say growing up, I didn't have that experience.
Yeah, instead of feeling alone, seeing yourself represented in porn might make you feel even more alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, we're coming up in the top of the hour here. So for you guys at home, I would love you to send in any comments you have about this discussion or questions to Davey at daveywavey.tv. It's DAV at DAV. Wait, what the fuck's my name? DAVEY at DAVEYWAVEY.tv. Girl, it's a long
been a
damn
day.
day. And thank you guys so much for joining us. Next week, we're going to talk about a video titled Need a Good Fuck. That's what apparently I need right now.
Straight to the point.
Yeah. Finn, where can people find more of you?
Yeah, FinnDeerhart.com, FINNDERHART.com.
Chad, where can people find you?
Instagram, Chad_Remy.
Matt?
Riversma at Gmail. I'm sorry, not Gmail. Instagram.com. My bad.
At Instagram.com. That's your email address?
Whatever the hell it is on Instagram. Riversma on Instagram. You know me. Whatever.
All right. Thanks so much for listening. And as always, more
to come.
Oh, fuck that.
We'll get it right.